What's up guys, we are ManyFew.
Today we're gonna do a tutorial about making house beats and chords.
Let's go! So what we're gonna show you here today is how to make beats, chords and a kick drum. We're gonna start with a track we produced a few months ago.
Yes, we're gonna play a snippet of our track Fire in the House.
So usually when we are starting making songs, we are starting with some beats.
Yes, so we are usually creating a loop and starting with the beats. In Logic it's very good because you can have your favorite samples in my loops.
And regarding the tempo, we are usually working between 123 up to 128. So for this song in particular, we are 126 BPM, which fits very good.
Yeah, so usually we are playing around and testing. So let's drag this one in. So we have some kind of rhythm to start with. Then we usually are creating a kick drum
using one of our favorite plugins. So this one is really cool.
Serum is nice, and this is the basic preset. So when you're starting the plugin, you get this.
We're starting with a piano roll.
So for a kick drum, we're going for a sine wave. Then the envelope shape, usually like this, something like this. Then we are adjusting it along the way to just get the right oomph, the pitch of it. We are using the LFO because we get more control of it.
Yeah, and for us, when producing house music, it's all about the length of the kick drum as well. So for this song, it all depends on how the bass and how the piano chords is sounding.
So to get the pitch right, we are dragging it up to this coarse pitch, I think they call it.
Yep.
You already get some kick drum vibe. We're using the envelope to, if you need it longer,
yeah,
or you can play around with the decay, etc. But also you have this in Serum as well, so you can go to the attacks, play around with that. And then
here with it. The next step will be to equalize this, and to go equalizer is channel equalizer in Logic.
Yeah, so I think for the tops we're just cutting the low end of it to start with.
Just a standard.
Yeah, just to get rid of the bottom.
With the kick drum we are cutting around 30 to 35 hertz in the bottom. At the top we are increasing a little bit. And
yeah, this knocky sound, perhaps we're cutting off a little bit of
reduce
that.
A little bit of that one. Around maybe 7, 8, 900, somewhere in between we're cutting.
And sometimes you need to boost the low end as well. The kick drum is something we are adjusting along the way because it needs to fit to the bass and everything, but the initial idea is here. Sometimes we sample as well, and that's a good way of doing it, but we find that to get it right with the bass, we can have more control of it. So the length.
We started using lots of samples, but then we were digging into more details, and we found out that it's way more efficient for us to start from scratch when producing kick drums.
And next step would be to try some chords, right?
Yeah, that's the next step.
Just the grand piano we have here. We have in our heads the vision where we want to take it regarding chords, melodies. So we have a minor chord, D minor, and then we have a G major.
Usually we have this idea in our head. Yeah, I mean, sometimes we are we are taking inspirations.
From tracks we like, and it can be something that is recently released, or it can be an old track as well. So,
but we are using piano roll like this one when we are producing those chords. We have a few songs we've been using the M1 in as well, both for organ sound but also for piano. But for organ, I say it's still one of the best.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Here it's all about to be creative, because sometimes we don't know actually which chord we are creating. We are just listening, and if it's something that sounds good, we are using it. So.
Yeah, so this is basically the initial idea we had for this song. So what we got right here is a kick drum, some beats, and those chords. So after this part, it's time for the bass.
Yes, and for this track we used our good friend Silent.
When it comes to bass sound, very easy to use, I would say, very effective when it comes to choosing sounds, and you have that initial...
Yeah, a great presets bank as well. And I think we used...
Moog bass, it could be,
and then we tweaked it. I think we was going down 1 octave. So we were more looking for that sub-bass sound.
I think the vision for this one was a little bit more like a 90s house vibes piano track. This is the initial idea, and of course we need some hook. Usually we are doing lots of songwriting sessions when writing hooks, and sometimes we can feel that we need some inspiration from old classic house records, and maybe we are sampling stuff. And so I mean, songwriting is also a very efficient way for us to produce hooks, because for all or less in our songs, all of our songs are hooky-based songs. I mean, we have just a few with the full lyrics going on.
So for this one we found, I think it was from a session, so we created...
And as you can see and hear, it's very demo sounding, but we definitely have the vibe going.
Yeah, and that's what the first thing we are looking for, is the vibe.
Yeah, more or less we are doing everything ourselves from scratch, and also mixing and mastering all of our songs. We love those work with very focusing, detailed work as well.
Adding plugins, equalizers, compression.
Yeah.
And so we get the right sound that we feel works.
We have a template we are using, but mostly we are starting from scratch.
Yeah, because it feels fresh, and you can come up with something experimental, or it just happens, you know, some things just comes up. You go from there basically.
Yeah.
So starting from scratch is a nice way.
As you can hear, we need some more layering on the piano.
We have some actually samples again.
And this plugin we really love, a huge fan of the sampler in Logic. It's one of our favorite things. Organ sound, I mean, as we said earlier, for this one we had a vision of making a house 90s old school record, so organ, it felt very natural for us to add that in.
So we layered a couple of...
Yeah, it's more of a stabby.
So on this we have been doing some EQing. This is just more for the attack.
Stereo delay.
Just a little bit, 2%. Another one again. And this one we really love in Logic. We're using it a lot. The overdrive, it's much better than the distortion, I think.
More or less the same, but...
Yeah, the distortion is more aggressive, and this is adding some harmonics.
And I mean, it's very important with the oomph sound. The sidechaining sound, for that one we are using Kickstart, Nicky Romero's, which is very useful for us.
Yeah, so without... And also we have this from Melda. It generates more bass, so it's great to add to the bass. You can also add a sub bass.
Yeah.
1 octave, I think it is below the bass, so the bass melody. Without that one. So here you can play around if you want to add more bass. This is a good trick instead of EQing. Cutting the low.
In the end.
And the kick.
So for the kick we are using a channel EQ, as we mentioned earlier, and
also this kick tweak. This is just a little effect, but you can go crazy with it and change the sound.
But it definitely do the trick.
Yeah.
When it comes to the attack.
I think it adds a little bit of attack, but also distortion some harmonics to the sound. It's a really cool plugin. You have 10 different presets, so you can choose between.
From single makers plugins, yeah.
I think also, if we don't mention, all synths is going to a bus where we have automated a little bit. So this is just filtering, and also everything is going to this sidechain.
So I mean, that's essential for us to use a sidechain effect to get the right groove.
And the synths are also, I can see we have a parallel compression on the synths.
And with that one we are using a T-Rex compressor.
So we are having a very long attack and a short release to grab the signal. Yeah, I think this is a filter on the parallel as well in this part of the track, just filtering. And on the EQ we have decreased it a lot in the top end.
So if you can play a little bit of it.
So the parallel is just... But it's doing something.
Yeah, and also for the vocal hook, we have been tweaking it a little bit. And for the mixing part, we are always starting with the channel EQ.
Yeah.
And after that one...
This is going to a bus where all the vocals are going to.
Starting with a compressor. This is also a great plugin, reverb, little plate, using a lot on vocals.
Yeah, that's our favorite on vocals.
And then we have the Echo Boy, sorry, yeah.
Some dynamic equalizing, because I think we were thinking that it was a little bit harsh.
But I kind of like this one because it's interesting to use it because here's such a...
Yeah, it moves along with the vocals. It changes along the way. The equalizer is moving to the,
so as you can hear it,
input signal. And then I think rolling off a little bit here and some DS.
Because for this vocal shop we had a little bit of a struggle with the S.
Yeah, and it was also very harsh sounding. So for us it was a little bit hard to equalize it, but we made it in the end. But it was a lot of work.
With the piano.
For this track, since we have lots of layers, perhaps it becomes a little bit more easier to mix it in because all those needs to sound like one sound basically. But if you have more some of our other tracks we have perhaps only one piano and we have a bass, etc. And then it becomes more important to EQ it even more.
And
right.
On this one, it's absolutely essential. We are starting with this aerodynamic EQ again.
And rolling off here.
After that, we are adding a stereo delay to it. Next step will be to add a compressor.
And here it's just to play around with the attack and release. I don't know actually exactly the reason why we chose this one, but it sounds, it works.
Usually how we are working. I mean, we are playing around and we are trying different methods. I mean, it's not specific how you need to do it. Just play around and try different things out. Here we have something interesting.
On piano we are using choruses a lot, so this plugin we really love. So we're just looking to get a wider sound.
Yeah, and that little bit of a vintage touch to it. That's what that plugin does to it.
So this plugin is really nice as well to add harmonics, and you can add saturation as well if you want. And then again we have the kick start.
We have shown you how we are using the mixing chain on the piano and the bass.
And also, just to mention, we have this going to a bass again, all the synths. I think it is Logic preset, it's a grand piano. So it's nothing special. It's no magic in that. I think it's more about finding the vibe, the chords there. And then you could go for another piano perhaps and it would work as well. But we chose this one, and on the bass we have the BX Control V2.
Also a really efficient plugin to use to add that bit of a mono to it.
So we are adding the mono maker to 170 Hertz. And here you can also add it full mono or
stereo.
Yeah, so this is going to all the synths and the piano because we wanted it to be one sound. That was the main goal. This plugin just makes it mono up to a certain frequency. For example, here we have chosen it 170. Especially if you are playing it in a club or something, it's nice to have the punch.
Still lots of club system is only in mono, so therefore we are using a lot. And also when we are building different beats, kick drums, also using the mono maker for that purpose as well.
And we have some different tops together with shaker. And nothing special is going on with the EQ there. I think we are cutting the low and adding some, just a little bit.
But for us the shaker is very important here as well to get the vibe.
Yeah.
We have added a crash, for example.
And at the drop we are using a little bit of sidechain on the crash as well to get some movement. And cutting the low, 190 Hertz, and some sweeps.
As you can hear, we have a little bit of an atmosphere who goes in the background, sounding like this. And for us, that's create a more 3D vibe to it, and with everything on. So if you mute that one. Definitely do something to the overall song here.
Adds
so
more depth for
more
3D,
depth,
as you said. And that's something we do a lot. As well in the intros, we usually do some atmospheres as well.
Like a loop or also.
And in the break here, we have some cowbell, I think, going on.
We are a huge fan of using those type of percussions. Still doing the round. If you listen to house music nowadays, I mean,
we were looking to add another rhythm to the track. So together with the cowbell, we added some claps. Then for the next part, I think we are adding just a strings tone. I'm building it up to the second
with a snare roll.
And also we added this modulation thing.
That's pretty cool to use.
Yeah, just to add something different in the second. Very subtle, but you need to hear something different, we feel, so we added that one.
On this one we have the mixing chain.
This is what we have on the stereo out.
For the mixing chain, here we are using a bus compressor.
Just to glue the mix together, and then we have this multiband up and down compression. 22%, it's pretty much for a master, but it works on this track. And then we had some filter just to automate it on the stereo out on certain places.
Yeah, and usually we are using that just before the drops going.
To cut off some low end, and this is just to take off some harshness, and we are using just 2.44 decibel around that. Echo Boy is also to build up some tension in the last drop. Before the drop, and then we are using
Inflator, also an amazing plugin for the mixing chain.
Yeah,
using it on everything basically when mixing.
And then we're basically bouncing down it like this and going into the mastering process, which is more doing some kind of EQing and then adding a little limiter to it. It's not something magical. We are listening in different systems, and sometimes we go back to this project again and change.
And also when playing out in the clubs, we're usually doing lots of different drafts, going back and forth, making notes to try to produce the perfect mix for...
Translate into different systems. That's what we are aiming for.
That's it.
Thank you guys for watching, and thank you Point Blank Music School for having us.
This was our song ManyFew, Fire in the House. Please check it out on all DSPs, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. Hope to see you guys soon. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.